I'm here with Steve Nicholson, Chief Football Writer at the Derby Telegraph, after the Rams' 4-4 draw at Huddersfield Town. Steve, what did you make of that game?
Well, I must admit it's difficult to know where to start. Steve McLaren in there just said we start with a good strong drink, I would imagine, after that. It was chaotic, it was mistake-ridden game, roller coaster game, and in a strange way, and it rather sums up the Championship, this, in a strange way, they've actually strengthened their position in the playoff places. Brentford and Wolves failed to win their games, so Derby now have got a 4-point cushion with 2 matches left, so actually they came out of it quite nicely. But you cannot play that way. You cannot play as open as that. You cannot make as many mistakes as that. There has to be a better structure to your game than we saw today, because you'll not always get away with it. Today they started quite well. They took the lead. Tom Ince with a cracking goal. He doesn't really do tap-ins. Tom, he actually scored some belters for Derby. That's 10 now in 16 games after today. They never really pushed on then, and then they had a nightmare final 10 minutes of the first half. Awful defending, terrible goals to concede, and Huddersfield went 3-1 up. At that stage they were well on top, the home side. There was an instant early second half when Naki Wells went through, and I think his effort struck really Grant in the face. Had that gone in, it would have been game over. But to be fair to Derby, we have to give them credit for their spirit. They showed character, determination, desire to get back into it, and Simon Dawkins made it 3-2, and then they got an equaliser as well. So at 3-3 you thought, well, they can go on and win this, and then they conceded another shocking goal. And as I said before, I keep mentioning clean sheets, and everyone thinks, well, we like to see goals. It doesn't matter about goals. Clean sheets will win you games at this level, and Derby at the moment aren't defending well enough. As a team, not just as a back four, but as a team, it's too easy for the opposition to get at Derby. They're not defending well enough as a team to win matches on a regular basis. And as I say, Huddersfield went 4-3 up, and then Tom Ince got his second of the game to make it 4-4. And in the end, they've got a point. It's a good point in the end because it makes them fairly much safe, I think, in the playoffs with 2 games left. But really, they've got to be better than this if they want to progress further this season. Again,
Derby weren't helped by injuries. What's the news on those?
Yeah, there's 3 more today. Zach Whitbread went down. He's only just come back after 6 months out, really. Went down with a hamstring injury, so how long that is, we don't know as yet. Craig Bryson didn't look comfortable at all when he came off early on with a thigh problem. If it's a torn thigh, then we know how long George Thorne has been out with a thigh injury recently, so that could be a blow. And then Will Hughes came off towards the end with, Steve said, an ankle problem. But I noticed before the game that Will was actually doing a late fitness check on something or other. He didn't look happy with it, but he got through, I think, 80 odd minutes, so credit to him. But yeah, the injuries are piling up again.
And obviously Steve McLaren's trying to look for some consistency in his team selection, but he's not really been able to do that of late. What can he do now?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I asked him in there, and he said again, it's a very, very good question. He's searching and he's clawing for this kind of settled side and settled formation. He needs consistency. They need all of these things going into the playoffs, and there's only 2 games left. Really, the injuries are biting deep. Chris Martin, wasn't in the 18 today. He's still some way short of match fitness. I spoke to Steve McLaren about Chris Martin. It seems to me that they're just trying to get in bits and bobs, getting closer to fitness before the playoffs, and then hopefully be in the right shape to be involved in that. Same with George Thorne. But he's going to have to find a shape somewhere. He's going to have to find a settled defence, certainly. But after today, we thought he had a settled defence after the Wigan game, clean sheet. But after today, he hasn't got one, and he needs to look at that closely and try and patch one together for the next 2 games at least, and then the playoffs.